Coming to you from my current location, I'm Bob Rubart with the Oracle Groundbreakers team, and my guest this morning is Basheer Khan. He's an Oracle ACE Director, and he's one of about 2 busloads of people who are participating in the Oracle Groundbreakers Yatra event that started last week and continues into next week. Basheer, how you doing?
Doing great, Bob. Good to talk to you again.
Same here. It's always nice to talk to you, and it's been a while, I think, since you and I have actually spoken, but
it has been.
That's the breaks.
Yeah, I always enjoyed talking to you during Open World.
Yeah, and boy, it's that's not going to happen. But so let's before we get into talking about the Yatra tour, tell me a little bit about what you do and where you do it. Who do you work for?
Well, I founded my own company in 2013, and the purpose was to evangelize and implement as many cloud applications, get as many cloud applications customers as possible. We are on our way, 30 plus implementations so far, and many of them fixing things that were broken. So it's been a great ride. And these days, all I'm doing is helping different customers with either implementing new functionality with cloud applications or resolving issues that are pretty complex. So that's all I do every day.
And what you do, no doubt, informs the 2 sessions that you've done so far in the Yatra event. Tell me about those sessions.
Sure, thanks. First one was on July 3rd, and this is a session I've done a couple of times before. So primarily what it is people think that cloud applications are very rigid. You cannot alter or change them. Many of them do not understand the underlying technology behind the applications. So my first session was a technical training. Of course, given the time limit, 45 minutes, there's not a lot you could do. But to the extent I could explain, even to the business users, what are these applications, what technology they're built on, what are some of the technical components, how can they generate reports from them, how do they understand the underlying data model, how can they build interfaces to these applications, and so on. So it's a comprehensive, high-level look into all the technical components of the applications, explained in a very simple language. And I believe it was well received based on some of the feedback I got from the attendees.
What sort of questions did you get during the sessions?
Oh, there were several of them. For example, normal stuff that you'd expect from people who are used to e-business suite and on-premise installs. They're like, can we connect to the database directly? And my response was, it's a security thing. You cannot allow anyone to go directly. And what if they made a mistake and drop a table? So that's why Oracle controls it. But here's an alternate way how you can get to the same underlying data using a browser. And so forth. That was one. And then one question that always keeps coming up is, how can we get access to a demo instance of the application? So that's been a big need for every person out there. They're so eager to learn. I've seen this in my prior yatras as well. They all want to understand and learn these applications, but unfortunately, unless you're a paying customer or a partner, you do not have an ability to access the customers. So what I'm personally planning to do is create a series of training videos, sessions, the next best thing, right? We'll do hands-on. We'll show them how they can go about picking it up. So I have a series of videos planned, and I'm looking forward to releasing them next year.
And those will be on YouTube?
Those will be on YouTube, and people can go and review those videos. They'll be not too long, right? Many times you don't have a large attention span, or you're busy with your day-to-day work. So we want to keep it short, quick and easy, but at least it'll give the masses an easy understanding of how these applications work and how they can leverage the functionality in these applications.
Again, with regard to the 2 sessions you did, respectively, what would be the key takeaway from each of those sessions? If your audience remembers only one thing about each of those sessions, what would that be?
I just realized I didn't mention what my next session was, which was on the 7th of July.
Okay.
So let me explain that.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
No worries. My second session had to do with analytics. What we've seen historically, even when we're dealing with on-premise implementations, the focus tends to be more on pushing the data and making sure all the transactions happen and your business runs. That rightly so, is the focus of any implementation. But many times we don't realize that the value from these applications comes from extracting information, not just straight reports, but an ability to analyze and get real-time information that helps especially the management, especially the executives, especially the board members. They're more interested in the summarized information. And that's why my second session was Learn to Use Analytics. And it was a very interesting session in that I spent half the time with slides, giving them the basic concepts. And my second half of the session was an actual demo. So I was able to show them how you can pick an Excel sheet and within a few minutes, transform it into meaningful insights into that, your data, and you could use it for decision making. So it went really well. Fortunately for me, many times my demos failed, but this time it was not the case. It went well, and again was well received. So to go back to your earlier question, what is that one takeaway from each of these? Mm-hmm. From my first session, which had to be technical training, the one takeaway was as the attendees are getting into a Fusion application and want to get down to a technical track and want to get jobs around that skill set, my takeaway, the key message to them is start with the reports on the technical side. They're the easiest, that help you quickly understand the data model. It's very easy to pick up and they can become useful immediately. And there's a huge demand for people to write reports against these applications. Not everyone understands the underlying data model, especially the DBAs who are concerned about moving to the cloud. This is a perfect foray for them to get to understand the underlying data model and pick up the simple click, drag, and drop ad hoc reporting capability. They become invaluable immediately. And given that the DBAs, it's easier for them to understand the underlying tables and how they join and connect. They already know SQL for most part. So it's a perfect transition for them. So that would be my takeaway from my first session. For my second session, the takeaway is more geared towards the business users. Analytics is here and it's available in the cloud and it's very easy. Not only can you access it from a cloud-based environment, you also have a desktop version that you can download and take with you wherever you go. And it's a one-time setup. Maybe they themselves could do it. They can simply upload all the Excel sheets where they keep this information and start using a cohesive platform where they can correlate and present and analyze the information, as well as I showed them how they can prepare that information and narrate it or create a presentation out of it. So it's an easy 3-step process where they can quickly start leveraging this powerful tool. What I really liked about that particular product is you can have a chart and the click of a button, that chart becomes a narrative. You get an English language. In the month of October, you had the highest sale and so forth. So it's pretty amazing how it can either show pictures or just create a summary paragraph of what they're seeing. So that would be my takeaway to the business users to start leveraging this incredible platform that's now available to them.
Now, hot on the heels of the Yatra event, which normally would be a physical tour in India, you are participating in the Latin American equivalent, which kicks off, I think, the first part of August. What are you going to be talking about there? How many sessions are you doing?
I'm super excited about that, Bob. As you said, the Yatra in India, this is my third time participating, remote though, but the last 2 times we did 7 cities in 10 days and, I forget, was it 14 cities? It was amazing to travel from city to city. Yeah, I missed that. But as much as I was looking forward to do the Latin American tour, it's going to be remote again. But I'm super excited because this is my first time presenting to the Latin American community. I've been looking forward to it. I still am. One of the things I'm considering is should I, come up with some mechanism to go bilingual. I've never done that on a presentation because that may be something I'll consider. So the topic itself is something I've shared with other attendees across the globe. It's called Bridging the Skills Gap. It's with the cloud coming in, there's a lot of confusion. And 2, there's concern, fear about jobs being lost. Yeah. So this presentation appeals to every aspect of the IT community. You could be a DBA, you could be a developer, You could be a functional resource, you're a manager, you're a project manager, regardless of what you do. In fact, I have one of the slides where I list all the jobs that I could think of, and I actually asked the audience, hey, did I miss anything? And there have been a couple of jobs that came out, and I added them to the slide. So this presentation has been growing. So then what I do is I take each of the jobs and say, okay, you're here. What can you become? For example, DBA, database administrator, for most part, right? That's what this acronym stands for. I say you could still be a DBA, but transform yourself into either a database analyst or a database architect. One thing the community does not realize, the DBA community does not realize, is as much as Oracle takes care of all this and the backup, the installs, the restores and patching and maintenance of the database, there's still a huge need for DBAs.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the physical aspects of the database, there's still a need to understand how to connect the different cloud services, which cloud services work with what do you do within the database. Oracle does not go in and look within it to determine how to establish your tables, how to partition them, how to improve the performance. All that is still DBA's job. So I tell them, either become an architect so you can commingle various cloud services and make it all work for your organization, figure out what else, because new services keep coming out, how they can leverage all these services and make them all happen within the organization. Or they can dive deep into the DB where they become an analyst and they understand how to make all the building blocks work for the organization. So that's just the DBA portion of the presentation. Then I cover how the functional users, what skill sets, what tooling they need to uptake to become relevant in the cloud. The developers, who are building forms and reports from e-business suite or people's tools, user developers or JD tools developers, how they can transform themselves by learning Java with ADF or JET, and so on and so forth. So I pretty much cover each aspect of a job and how, from where they are, how can they get to where they need to be relevant, and what are the tools available, what are the resources available from Oracle, and where's the demand. In fact, that presentation has been growing each time I present. I remember the last time the Yatra, I made it a little bit local. I went in 2 days before the presentation and did a market survey to see which jobs are relevant. And it was amazing. The audience could connect. I used their own job sites to show them the demand for these cloud jobs and how easy it is for them to, from wherever they are, to go to the new skill set. And it was, again, very well received. I look forward to doing that for the Latin American tour this time.
From your perspective, do you see a lot of people heeding that advice? Do you see people making those transitions?
I have. And so, the world has become so connected now, and there are incidents several times since I completed the Yatra, since the first time I presented it. I'll suddenly get a message on LinkedIn where someone who attended my session would say, hey, look, I've done this now, I'm now certified, and it gives me so much satisfaction that a little tip that I left behind has transformed someone's life. And I love that kind of great news coming up. I'd say I've heard from at least a dozen or so people who took that presentation and they were able to attend courses or get some training and transition from where they were to cloud. It's all about enabling all these attendees and helping them navigate through this complex, confusing system. So it has been great. I enjoy that.
Now, speaking about connecting with the community, how long have you been part of the Oracle ACE program?
Oh, wow. I think I was one of the first, Bob. I don't know if you know, but there's a program called Fusion Middleware Regional Director. So this was the year 95 or 96, I'd say. No. Probably wow. 95, 96, which is when Oracle had acquired Colaxa. And I attended the first WEPL training. It was done by the founder of Colaxa. And I was one of 3 non-Oracle employees sitting in the room. And I picked it up and I came back and loved it so much that I immediately jumped into a project for a company at that time, which was a startup. It was in the MVNO space, mobile virtual network operator. And the whole business model was built using the SOA suite and WEPL. We built 52 different processes. So end to end, from the time the person clicks the website, buys a phone to it being activated, the whole business process built in these 52 processes. I didn't know this at that time. Turns out that was the largest implementation of WEPL in the US. So I got these calls from different people at Oracle. And actually, the Oracle magazine recognized me. as Integration Architect of the Year in that year. And right after that, I got a series of interviews, and they made me a Fusion Middleware Regional Director. And me and I think there were 2 or 3 other colleagues of mine. And then after a few years, they introduced the ACE Director program and transitioned from the Middleware Director to the ACE Director. Then I think after 2 years since I was recognized for my middleware expertise, they introduced the Applications ACE Director. So for the first time, I was again interviewed, and they made me an ACE Director of Applications. Guess what? My credentials were overwritten, because on the ACE page, you can only have one discipline. So as much as I was recognized for middleware, I am now recognized for apps and applications technology. So in a way, I was recognized twice, but it's great because it bridges the gap between business and technology. And that's my forte, right? So I'm able to understand the business needs, and as much as I understand the technology, I'm able to bring it together. I'm able to talk to different individuals, regardless of which side they come from. And yeah, it's been an amazing ride. And I know that it's very hard to keep up with the ACE directorship, because every year you have to requalify. And I feel truly fortunate and blessed to have retained it for so many years. Many of my colleagues and peers who were the initial Fusion Middleware Regional Directors, they're not here anymore. And I've seen many ACE directors come and go. But I appeal to the ACE community at large, the ACEs, the ACE associates, and the directors to continue that, because the world needs us. There's a dearth of, there's not that many folks who are able to go and share the knowledge and connect with the community and impart what they know. So the more we get, that's truly going to help the community at large.
Well, Basheer, it's so good to talk to you. It's been too long. We'd have to do this again. Best of luck to you with your sessions in the Latin America tour, and good luck in the future. And again, thanks so much for sharing your time.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you again.